Goal, motivation, conflict, otherwise known as GMC. The three elements that every story must have. Without them, there is no story. Hello, welcome to Arcadium C.A. I'm Caleb, and today we will be exploring the GMC construct designed by Debra Dixon. We will be exploring each facet of the GMC in depth by using real story examples many of you are familiar with. Today we are going to be diving into the first element of GMC, goal. This video is going to be part of a series of videos where we'll be breaking down the secrets and how-tos of storytelling. So let's begin. Why do we watch movies, read novels, or binge television shows? Well, ultimately it comes down to characters. We are invested in a story when a character is good and we feel we can relate or root for them. But how does this work? It starts with a goal. Any character worth reading about or watching their story unfold has an underlying goal. Some are more subtle than others, but in the end, they all have goals, good or bad, and we as the audience want to see them achieve these goals. So what is a goal? Well, simply, a goal is a desire, want, need, ambition, or purpose. Before we dive into a goal a little more, I want to encourage any storyteller out there to consider these questions when preparing to write a story. Who, what, why, and why not? To be a successful writer, filmmaker, or storyteller, you have to make your audience care. How do you do that? How do you make your reader care? You give them well-rounded characters with strong goals and deep motivations. Who is your character? What is it they are trying to accomplish? Why are they so desperate to accomplish it? And why should the reader care? Here's an excerpt from Debra Dixon's book. Your reader wants to become involved with the character's struggle to achieve a specific goal. The reader wants to understand why your character is motivated to achieve that goal. And the reader wants to worry about whether or not the character can actually achieve that goal. Conflict creates worry. Now let's take a look at some examples to gain a better understanding of how goals are portrayed. I'm going to be looking at Anakin Skywalker, Frodo Baggins, and Andy Dufresne. Each of these characters has a strong goal that drives them throughout their stories, but as we explore them, you will see that all goals are not created equal. A good goal is described as this. Characters should want what they don't have yet. Characters who simply want more of what they already have are not strong characters. In fact, story people should desperately need what they don't have yet. Let's start with Andy Dufresne in the Shawshank Redemption. Although not quite clear right away, we know that Andy's main goal was to escape Shawshank prison. The best goals are important and urgent. Goals should be important enough for the character to act against his own best interest and endure hardship if necessary. Important enough means that there will be unpleasant consequences if the goal is not achieved. If you have seen the movie Shawshank, you don't need me to tell you how unpleasant the circumstances have become for Andy Dufresne.
Ain't you gonna scream?
Good luck.
Let's get this over with.
If we look at the case of Frodo in Lord of the Rings, particularly in Fellowship, we see that Frodo's goal is not him trying to achieve something he does not already have, but to destroy something he does have. The ring, if kept intact, becomes the vessel of which the whole world will fall and be destroyed. Tolkien, and eventually Peter Jackson, make it very urgent that the ring must be destroyed and that Frodo must leave the Shire.
You have only one choice. The ring must be destroyed.
So, despite the goal causing them to eventually endure hardships and trials of various kinds, sometimes for years, the character's goal becomes urgent. Because if they fail, well, the result will be catastrophic. In Dufresne's case, it would become internally catastrophic, and for Frodo, it would become externally catastrophic. So you see, goals can vary in the fact that if a goal is not achieved, then the outcome can either impact the whole world or simply just the main character. In both cases, we as the audience are extremely invested nonetheless, because both goals stress immediate urgency. Now, most storytellers assume that for a goal to be urgent, it must have a ticking clock, and that if the goal is not achieved in a specific time, then it means failure. Well, not all stories require Jack Bauer. But if that's how you want to write your story, great. Then it becomes clear that it is urgent. However, it doesn't have to be that way. In Shawshank, we see Andy Dufresne in prison for years, chipping his way bit by bit, slowly each night to achieve his goal. Sometimes the more time a character has to take to accomplish a goal, the emotional payoff for them finally achieving this goal makes it even sweeter. Not only for the character, but also for the audience. And it's good to make your reader or viewer experience the long journey it takes for a goal to be accomplished. I mean, just think about how long and how much Frodo and Sam go through just to destroy the ring. How them slipping on the very footsteps of Mount Doom hurts to watch because we know they're so close.
Come on, Mr. Frodo. I can't carry it for you.
but I can carry you! Come on!
We've talked about two goals so far, one where a character is desperately trying to achieve something, and another where a character is trying to destroy or get rid of one thing. But your character can also be prompted to prevent something altogether, or in the case of Anakin Skywalker, not lose something. In the first act of Revenge of the Sith, we are clearly introduced to Anakin's main goal: save Padme. After Anakin receives a dream of Padme dying in childbirth, he becomes obsessed with finding a way to stop it from happening.
You die in childbirth.
And the baby?
I don't know.
It was only a dream.
I won't let this one become real.
Similar to the other two examples, we still feel the urgency. Padme is pregnant, he receives a dream of her dying in childbirth, so more or less, there literally is a ticking clock here. It's important to state that not all goals have to be accomplished. You are the storyteller. Ultimately, you know what the story is and who the characters are. So don't fall into the trap of feeling your character must accomplish their initial goal, otherwise your story fails. Now, in the case of Anakin, we see that ultimately the obsession of his goal, to save Padme, leads to the very thing he was trying to prevent. Padme dies. Spoiler, sorry. Yet there is a fine line here. As you tell your story, you are building trust with your audience. The goal is introduced and the audience is invested. So they want to see the goal achieved in order to trust you. If you write a book about a detective trying to catch a killer and 300 pages in, the cop tracks down the killer, knocks on his door, but the killer was spying from a van outside and roars off down the road escaping justice, would you be satisfied? Obviously, there has to be closure or resolution. Sometimes the goals of a character can change along the way, evolving from their initial goal, i.e. they realize the power of friendship was more important in the end than achieving world domination. But no matter what, there has to be payoff. It's that unspoken contract between storyteller and audience that says, if you read my story, you will be rewarded one way or the other. This trust is sometimes built by small goals along the way. Sometimes writers get overwhelmed by their own characters' goals and they don't know where to start. Allow your characters to take baby steps, small goals that eventually lead to the big goal. In the case of Frodo, he doesn't start off with the idea he has to make it to Mordor and destroy the ring. At first, he is simply trying to make it to Rivendell and get the ring to a safer place. We see Frodo encounter trials and obstacles just in this part alone.
What must I do?
You must leave, and leave quickly.
Where? Where do I go?
Get out of the shower. Make for the village of Bree.
So allow your characters to gain small victories through small goals along the way. By doing this, you will naturally achieve the roller coaster of emotion and tension that keeps a reader reading and a viewer watching. Also, don't be afraid to give characters multiple goals. Another example comes from Star Wars, in the case of Luke Skywalker. We know that Luke has the goal of becoming a Jedi Knight, and also rescuing the princess he saw in the message of R2-D2.
Remember, a Jedi can feel the Force flowing through him.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
You're who?
I'm here.
Another point that's important to keep in mind is that goals can be both external and internal. A character can have a physical, tangible goal as well as an emotional, sometimes unspoken goal. In many cases, these internal and external goals can serve one another, or they can resist one another. If your character has both internal and external goals, this helps create deeper, multi-layered characters that are much more interesting. With Anakin, we know that his external goal is to save Padme, but his internal goal is to become more powerful. At first, these two seem to assist one another. He believes that if he becomes more powerful with the Force, then he will be able to save her. However, in the end, it is the internal goal of his lust for power that wins out. It makes him take a path that ultimately destroys his external goal. So despite his failure to accomplish one goal, he does achieve another. This is why the payoff of his failure works, because he is still achieving a goal. However, it was the goal that was unspoken and more subtle that eventually wins out. In the end, these characters push themselves to extreme measures and leave no stone unturned when trying to accomplish these goals. We see how the urgency of great goals drives characters to go outside of their comfort zone and ultimately creates good characters we are willing to watch or read about. Next time, we will explore the next element of the GMC chain, motivation, the why, the reason behind the goal that drives a character to actually pursue the goal in the first place. I hope this breakdown has helped you in some way. If you want to read more about goal, motivation, and conflict, please check out Debra Dixon's book. I will leave a link down in the description below. Also, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell if you want to be notified when we release more in-depth story concept videos in the future. Until next time, I'm Caleb, and this is Arcadium C.A.